Hello everyone, welcome back to King's Digital ELT. My name is Shuhei Aida. I'm an editor of the website and MS student at King's College London. King's Digital ELT is a platform where we share insight of experts in technology enhanced language teaching and learning with teachers around the world. Today we are going to talk about AI from the perspective of skill acquisition theories. For that, we are delighted to have a guest, Dr. Yuichi Suzuki from Waseda University, Japan. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you. Thank you for these great opportunities. I'm really looking forward to having a discussion with you.
Thank you so much. So before we dive into the topic, could you briefly introduce yourself and maybe tell us about your research interests as well?
Sure. So my name is Yuichi Suzuki. I'm a professor at Waseda University and teaching applied linguistics and SLA. And before that, I was teaching at Kanaga University. It's also like university in Japan, and where I taught like general purpose English and also like teaching English to like students who are interested in international like issues and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so my research interest is like as Shuhei, like you introduced the topic already, but like skill acquisition theory, and it's one of the SLA, like second language acquisition theories. And for those of you who are not familiar with SLA research, basically we are like studying how people acquire an additional language, and I'm particularly interested in how people have that kind of interested in understanding the mechanisms of like how we acquire additional languages.
Okay, thank you so much. So I came across your paper when I was working on one of my assignments, and
Mm.
I found them really interesting. So I'm really excited to hear your insight today about AI. Thank you so much for joining us again. And okay, so moving on to the next one. Just to set the ground for those who may not be familiar with it, I'm pretty sure audience knows better than I do, but could you please explain what is skill acquisition theory really is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I don't think, many people outside of SLA research knows about
Mm.
skill acquisition theory. But it actually has the root in cognitive psychology research. And basically, like psychology has, trying to understand how people acquire, like, everyday skills, such as like typing, riding a bicycle or playing a chess, like, they're the general, like a learning theory. Then skill acquisition theory in SLA research is we kind of trying to apply those what we know from like a cognitive psychology to
Mm.
second language acquisition. And this skill acquisition theory, or like an SAT, often distinguishes like three stages of learning.
Mm.
And for example, like when you learn how to type, you first need to remember the keyboard, like the typing locations, like all these
Right, right.
keyboard like locations, right? And this is like something you are consciously learning about the information that you first need to actually type.
Mm.
Then when you start typing, then you gradually become better at it. So this is the kind of second stage. It's called like proceduralization. The first stage is like knowing about the kind of facts and the kind of rules, and this is like a declarative stage. Then when you put that into use, actually when you try to perform it, and that's like a procedural stage.
Okay.
And once you get better at it, then you start typing, and maybe like you can do like a touch typing without looking at the board, and your typing speed increases through a
Mm.
lot of typing experiences. Then you get your skill more automatized, so you can
Yep.
execute it more efficiently. That's the
Mm.
third stage. It's called like automatization. So
Mm.
declarative, procedural, and automatization. Like this is kind of three stages that skill acquisition theory kind of predicts.
Mm. So the idea is, as you mentioned as example, so typing that can be applied to second language acquisition as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, just
that's
like
the
yeah.
idea.
So right, that's the idea. But Shuhei, like, do you play sports?
I do, I do.
Oh yeah, what sport do you play?
I used to play basketball.
Oh, me too, actually. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So Yeah, so like, when I started playing basketball, like we learned how to shoot, right?
Mm,
And shooting form is really important in the beginning, right?
right, right.
So then, like, for example, like, when I was, taught by my coach, then I was told that I have to, bring in my knees, not knees, like, sorry, elbows,
Elbows,
elbow
yeah.
this way so that you can shoot like a more straight. Uh,
Right, right.
so this is more like a declarative in a stage. You understand how to perform
Mm.
the skill.
So that's the
Then,
first stage, right?
yeah, that's the first stage.
Yeah.
Then, like, but when we, start shooting, like my attention is probably geared towards the goal.
Mm.
Then I, sometimes forget, this
Right,
kind of
right.
position.
Yeah.
Then my coach says that, hey, like, you have to, put your elbow
Mm,
in.
mm.
Then, like, this is more like proceduralization. Then once you, after enough practice, you'll be able to shoot more, more like a nice way.
Mm. Okay, okay. So what's fascinating about the theory is that people can easily resonate with it. Like people knows how they acquire different skills in their life, but it's the same when it's the same when it comes to learning language as well. I think that's the idea. It's really interesting, I think.
Yeah, like, yeah, for some people, like, it, clicks. Yeah, this is one of the ways.
Mm.
I don't say like this. I wouldn't say this is the only way
Yep.
to acquire a second language, but this is definitely a one
Mm.
viable way, especially in classroom settings, where teachers often present the roles
Mm.
explicitly. Then learners, for example, like when students learn how to use past tense
Mm.
in English, then they learn the role, right? Like you need to put the ed at the end of the verb.
Mm.
Then with that declarative knowledge, you start like writing a sentence, or maybe like uttering a sentence expressing the past event. Then you are gradually kind of building a skill
Right.
that you can use. Then after a lot of practice, you'll be able to do it much better and in more like variety of contexts.
Right, right. Okay. Oh, thank you so much for that. Let's move on to the AI part now.
Mhm.
So I know it's a big question, but to what extent do you think AI, especially chatbot, support each stage of skill acquisition theory?
Right. So like chatbot is a great tool, right? Because you can practice a lot of like conversations with the
Mm,
chatbot. And so like this chatbot, like you mean like just speaking like oral mode, like in the first place. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. So then this three stages of declarative, procedural, and automatization is highly relevant here as well, because you are going to like you know use what you already know, but you cannot still use it like, fluently. So you
okay.
have this declarative knowledge a lot, like maybe like exemplar sentences, like vocabulary phrases, and also like grammar rules that you haven't been able to automatize it yet.
Mm,
Then like chatbot, basically if you can basically interact with a chatbot, then there are a lot of opportunities for students to actually employ, like deploy
mm.
what they have learned.
Okay, so you're saying chatbot as a partner, kind of conversational partner, that's the way to use AI to maybe shift from declarative knowledge to automatization. That your point?
Yes,
Yeah,
so
okay.
like in order to engage in and also take advantage of the practice with the chatbot, is like you need to have a certain level of like procedural knowledge. Without
Mm,
much foundation, like it doesn't make sense to like have a conversation
yeah.
with the chatbot, right?
Okay. Okay. Maybe so at to some stage, I guess, without AI, I think it's important to set the ground first and then start using AI. Maybe from declarative, no, procedural knowledge to automatization, maybe.
Yes,
Yep.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So you didn't say maybe you didn't say start from declarative knowledge by using AI, maybe.
Yeah, no, I don't
No,
think so.
no.
And also,
Okay.
like, it's like taking the same analogy of like sports, like learning sports, like you first like need some basic skills, like drill skill, like
Yep.
dribbling, and passing, or like of course like running, and
Mm,
all those foundational skills. Like without it, just you just play the games and games, and it doesn't make you better, right? Of course,
Yeah.
like to some extent, like, there are always some benefits of like playing a game. You learn, incidentally, like how to perform, to execute a good play. But there's certain like level of like foundations like you need to build.
Okay. So this leads me to the next question, actually. So on the flip side, um, so my next question would be, to what extent do you think AI chatbot hinder or interfere with each stage of skill acquisition theory? I'm asking this because, well, I rely on ChatGPT or Gemini a lot when I'm texting with my friend or when I'm writing email. And I feel like my production skill is getting worse every year. Ever since like, I don't know, since like 2023 or two.
Oh,
What do you think about this? What do you think?
well, interesting. I say like you feel that you get worse, like through, and like using the chatbot, like
Yeah, because I check my writing and
uh-huh.
or I let them translate into English from Japanese. I feel like
Ah,
I'm missing out the opportunity to kind of make sentences by myself,
mhm.
and that's why I'm getting worse.
I see, I see. So that you kind of skip the actual like a generation of like a linguistic like a patterns like from
Yeah.
your ideas and stuff. Like of course
Mm,
like that part. Like,
yeah.
if you surrogate that a crucial part, like of course it's
Mm,
like the damaging to your linguistic competence. But like
mm,
in general, like if you're using like in a chatbot like without much like feedback on
mm,
linguistic accuracy, for example, like you just practice and practice, then like, without thinking about the accuracy, then of course you sometimes automatize
mm.
some incorrect
Right, right.
utterances or like linguistic knowledge. So that is something you need to avoid, like when you're simply just use a chatbot. Like it doesn't solve that language learning
Mm.
issue. So that's something skill acquisition theory can predict.
Okay, okay. So I am using it long way, I guess. I'm using AI as like translator, but you were saying maybe we should use it as more like a conversational partner or maybe teacher who could give us like feedback.
uh right, but like I don't know, like just using a translation, like relying on translation is one
Mm,
way, and this is definitely like your benefits because when you cannot like explain in your second language, then you need some resources like that you can like, rely on. Then like your first language is obviously the most reliable like resource for you, right?
mm,
And but just getting that declarative information, so like just translation is declarative information to me, and not to me, but like just more according to skill acquisition theory,
okay, okay.
then you have this English sentence paired with the meaning, the
Mm,
form and meaning mapping right here, right? Then without using it, just basically you don't type, right? Because when you get the translation, you simply copy and paste it,
yep.
right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, of course, like you're not actually engaged with those learning processes. So that's the part completely missing here. So like, and I think that can easily happen in classroom setting because like when you ask students to prepare for a presentation, then
Mm,
students type in their L1, then just put them in like like in translation machine,
mm.
then they get the results. Then just read the script, and that doesn't lead to any meaningful practice for students, right?
Okay, okay. Sorry, sorry, I was kind of out of the question, but going back to the original question, to what extent do you think AI chatbot interfere with each stage of skill acquisition theory? What would be your answer to this question then?
Hmm. Yeah, so like in the beginning, so like I said that like without much foundation, just engaging with AI chatbots, doesn't sometimes like lead to automatized like incorrect
Mm,
like utterances. So that's
right.
kind of arrested development. So I think that's definitely like concern. So like, when, this kind of a new technology appears, like, many people think that, hey, like, this kind of, app or this chatbot, like, applications, solve all the language problem, like language learning issues, but that's not, that's not going to happen. Like there's no such thing as like magical solution for language learning.
Okay. Sorry, I think I missed that answer first in the first place. Sorry about that. Okay,
That's
so
okay. Yeah.
okay. So overall, like moving on to the next question. This is the last question I have. So in general, like what implication might skill acquisition theory have for teachers in general, like who wish to use AI in the classroom or who need to like give advice to students, like what would be the implication about the use of AI from the skill acquisition theory perspective?
Sure. Yeah. So I think like, that's a really big question. I think like in here, like we've been discussing AI chatbots, right? And so like, so of course, like in the beginning, I also explained that again, skill acquisition theory is one of the theories of SLI. Like second language acquisition is such a complex enterprise, and any theory cannot explain fully about the complexities of how like language learning is. And so I think like one of the most important implications from skill acquisition theory for using chatbot like, in classroom setting is that teachers need to provide enough scaffolding and also like a more like a deliberate classroom practice design so that like teachers can situate the timing to use chatbot
Right.
in the big like global like design of the classroom. So for example, like it just simply more like easy like three-stage idea of like a pre-task, then chatbot as a main activity, so as a main task, then like post-task, like 3 stages. In the pre-task stage, teachers need to provide like enough type of preparation, for example, like explaining about the useful expressions and also like possibly target grammar structures they might find useful during the conversation. Then like with this preparation, then students have some resources that they can rely on. At the same time, they can use it in the in the conversation with the chatbot. Like, this is like a proceduralization stage. But of course, again, after the conversation, they need to revisit what they have done, and they ideally like chatbot opportunity like output opportunity needs to be supplemented with like feedback. So like this is it's more like general meaning of generative AI, not specifically related to chatbot, but generative AI can basically analyze like learners' performance. Obviously, sometimes they transcribe and also like point out some of the linguistic issues. Like that's probably like more and more they are capable of these kind of fine tuning the corrective feedback for learners to identify the kind of areas for improvement in terms of linguistic accuracy and also complexity. And so this kind of like feedback serves as a kind of feed forward for learners to actually repeat the same task, like having the same conversation, maybe with a different avatar or a different agent, right? So like it just this kind of makes it less boring. This of course like repetition is crucial to develop your skills, but it can get a little bit boring because if you talk about the same topic with the same person, that's a kind of it's not as entertaining as having a conversation with many like different human beings, like an actual human, right? But maybe like chatbot can be improved in terms of like different avatars and talking about similar topics, or like gradually changing the topic so that they can develop wide range of skills for performing communicatively.
Okay. So I was actually expecting like skill acquisition theory kind of recommend repetition more than like engagement itself. But it's really interesting that you are mentioning, you are saying that we should use AI as more like a partner rather than like the machine that creates drill and repetition practice. It is, I think, really insightful and new to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So like, yeah, skill acquisition theory, it tends to be considered as a, kind of supporting theory for, mechanical practice,
yeah,
mechanical
yeah,
drills, and like, more like, automatize, like,
yeah,
through repetition. But like, if you look at the, actual, good classroom activities, of course, sometimes like teachers use mechanical drills, but like, only briefly, so that they can just simply move on to more communicative type
right,
of
right.
activities, so that they
Mm.
can take advantage of those, communicative nature of using the language. So I think like this skill acquisition theory is not incompatible with like a communicative type of
Right, right.
practice.
That's interesting. Well, thank you so much. Okay, so before we wrap this up, is there anything you'd like to say? Did I miss anything, or is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for the great opportunity. Like, and I think, people who are watching this have not heard of this, SLA or like a SLA theories,
Mm,
but we have, like, in our field has a lot to offer for language teachers, in my view. And of course, like, not all research, like, theories are relevant for language teaching, but if you look at them, just try to, learn from these theories available, and I think that, we have a lot to offer for language teachers
mm.
to improve their everyday teaching practice.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Sensei, Suzuki Sensei. For the audience, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time then. All right, thank you.
Thank you.